Hello everyone, this is Megan from Cogent Education. I am the biology specialist here, and thank you for joining us today. We're going to be looking at one of our very popular cases, the nitrogen cycle case study. So thank you for joining us today. Just to help get you started here, if you have any questions at any point during the webinar, feel free to type them in the chat bar we have to the right here. So if you look to the right of the Uber screen, you should see a timer at the top and then an option to look at viewers or to chat. So if you hit that chat button there, at the bottom you will be able to type any questions or comments you have. So please feel free to use that chat. I'll be sure to check it. And if you are having any trouble hearing me or viewing the PowerPoint presentation, please let me know so I can help you troubleshoot those issues. And to get started, we're going to start out with just some background information on the case study. So I went ahead and I have shared my screen with you. So please let me know if you cannot see the purple PowerPoint. It says Cogent Education Nitrogen Cycle Interactive Case. So if you did not get the option to view my screen, just let me know in that chat on the side there. Okay, it looks like everyone can see it, so that's great. So we'll go ahead and get started then. All right, so today, just to give you a little bit of background information on some of the great features that every single case study comes with. Every single case study that we have is going to place students into a scientific career featuring real-world problems. And this is really great because it helps open up the idea of scientific careers to students as a viable option, and also helps answer that question that we hear all the time from students about why do I have to learn this, or why is this important, or what does this have to do with me? Well, since we're showing them real-world problems in every single case that they do, that answers that question for them immediately, and also helps the students to become very engaged in the story and the plot, and really motivates them to save the patient. These case studies also enable students to interact with the cellular and molecular world, so they're able to see these concepts in a way that they don't normally get to experience through traditional textbook methods. They also help them develop and hone their problem solving and critical thinking skills, which we know a lot of students struggle with and isn't normally covered through standardized testing. So we made sure we include those development skills since they are so important for students no matter what career path they choose. Every case study we have, all 15 of them also align to state and next-gen science standards, so you don't have to worry about that. We have checked that box off for you. Now, as far as the time it takes to complete a case study, that's going to depend entirely on the level of your students and the level of the case study that you have chosen. So it can take anywhere from about 45 minutes up to 90 minutes, depending on if you've picked one of our very advanced cases or more of our introductory case studies. But we do have a variety of levels to help you differentiate with your students. They also all have cloud saving. So if you want to use a case over 2 class periods, or you run out of time and need to finish it with the students at home, or need to finish it in another class, we do include cloud saving so they can continue from their save point. And then the cases can run on Windows and Mac PCs, laptops, desktops, and tablets. And starting in the next school year, they will run on Chromebooks as well. All right. I also wanted to point out before we jumped into actually looking at the case study that they are research proven and teacher tested. So we did conduct a research study for over 3 years with over 2,000 students with the University of Georgia College of Education to prove that these cases do actually help the students with their critical thinking skills and their understanding, and this was for all learner groups. So you can see here in this graph that we've shown you here that it helped gifted students, also CP students, honor students, all of them improved their post-test scores after incorporating just 3 case studies into their curriculum. right. So if we don't have any questions on that, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the actual case study now, the nitrogen cycle case. So I like to explain each case study as having three parts, essentially. You have your introductory part, which introduces the students to their patient and the problem that they're going to be solving. And then after that, you have your background information part, where they're going to learn all of the concept, the vocabulary, and any information they're going to need to know, plus additional, in order to solve that case. Then you have the third part of the case study where they actually apply what they have previously learned to help save their patient and solve the problem. So for nitrogen cycle, we do offer two tracks in this case. So you have either an AP track or an intro track, so you can differentiate for your students there. Right now we're going to look at the introductory track. The story for these tracks is the same. The difference between the AP track and the introductory track is that they will get more information in that second part, which is the background information. So in this case, we are looking at a patient named Jennifer Westing. She's a cute little baby who has been experiencing some weird symptoms. So we're going to take a look at what those are. You are playing the role of an EPA engineer, and they have found that Jennifer, along with other babies in this area, are experiencing blue baby syndrome, and that is usually caused by high nitrate levels in drinking water. So, as you can see here, there have been 5 different cases all around the same water source of blue baby syndrome. So let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper and investigate this. As your job, as the environmental engineer, your job is to find the source of those nitrates and to prevent other cases of blue baby syndrome as well. So our first step in that is we need to go ahead and learn about the nitrogen cycle first. And the reason being, of course, is that we can't discover where the nitrates are coming from if we don't even know what nitrates are. So first step is to learn our background information. So this is that second part I was telling you about previously. We're going to jump into learning, what is nitrogen? Why is it important? Why do I need to learn about nitrogen cycle? I don't care about that. Well, we're going to tell the students why right here. Nitrogen is, of course, in your DNA. So that's one reason why it's important. Also, having clean and healthy drinking water is important as well. So we make sure to always address that in every case, like I mentioned previously. It's a real world problem. It is applicable to these students. So we're going to start out, kind of slowly here, introducing them first to nitrogen, talking about example of some amino acids, why nitrogen is important, and then we need to jump into how plants get nitrogen as well, since that is, of course, essential to the cycle. So I wanted to go ahead and show you here one of the first questions you're going to see in this case, which is the composition of air, how much of it is nitrogen. We made sure to include questions throughout the entire case study. That's for all case studies. So they're going to be assessed from the beginning all the way to the end. And this is very important because if you as the teacher will be able to address students when they need help exactly when they need help. So for instance here, if we had a lot of students picking the wrong answer for this question, that would be a great time for you as the teacher to stop the class and sort of review the composition of air and address that misconception right there when it's being formed. And here we have one of our great graphics. You can see we have really good animations and graphics in these cases. This one is showing the pores of the plant and how it is exchanging the gases in the air. And so these students are getting to learn these concepts by reading about it, by seeing visual examples, and also by interacting in this virtual environment. And I wanted to show you too that they can actually move these animations. So here you can see I can spin around this nitrogen gas bond here, which students think is very cool. And as we continue down this manual, for this case, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building the nitrogen cycle together. So there's a little legend here in this bottom right hand corner that you can see that I'll click on and expand for you. What we're going to do is we're going to learn about it while we build it. So this is proven to be a very good technique for teaching nitrogen cycle to students. We're going to go through each step in order and build up this cycle together. So it really will become something that they learn, not just memorize. So I want to show you here an example of one of our animations. Here you can see looking at enzymes and proteins and how they speed up the chemical reactions to break that triple bond. So they're going to get to read about it, and then they're going to get to see it happen in front of their eyes, and they can replay that as many times as they need to understand that concept. I'm going to do a quick check to see if we have any questions that have popped up. Okay, great. All right, we're going to jump in. I'm sort of skipping around this section because, like I said, this case typically takes around 60 minutes to complete, so I'm not going to show you the entire thing, but I wanted you to at least get a really good idea of how deep this manual can go, especially if you were to use the AP version. It can go, even further, even more advanced. But as you can see here, we're going step by step. We're showing at each little part of the process here, really making sure we're connecting this concept to a visual representation for these students. So we're building up this nitrogen cycle. Here's an example of one of our other types of questions. We try to give a variety of types of questions in these case studies, so it helps assess the students in different manners. Here you can see what they had to do here was they were given an example. So they were given, let's say we have 30 grams of ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate that are added to a soil sample. The students had to predict whether these concentrations would increase, decrease, or stay the same if they added ammonia nitrifying bacteria to that sample. So we have this little diagram here so they can understand what they're looking at. And then down here at the bottom, they needed to pick, would ammonia increase, decrease, or stay the same if you added the ammonia nitrifying bacteria? This is another question that's really great for you as a teacher to see if your students are really understanding this concept and how the cycle functions. So I wanted you to see this as well. And you'll notice that we do give an explanation. So if they were to pick the wrong answer, we're going to show them the explanation of why, of course. But then you as a teacher can also take that additional step to go up to them if you think that is needed. All right, so let's skip ahead a little bit here. We have half our cycle built, and you can see we're going to start jumping into the decomposition here. Denitrifying bacteria. And I want to show this animation because I think it's so cool, and teachers sort of ooh and ah when they see this animation here. You can see I think it looks really cool, and students also love it because they're used to playing with video games or apps on their phone all day long. So when you can show them science in that same sort of form that they're used to, it really helps them connect. All right, and now we're going to jump into the human section of the nitrogen cycle. I went ahead and skipped the rest of those steps there, so we're at the last step of the manual. But we're going to talk about human waste and fertilizers and how that affects it as well. So you can see here we have runoff, of course, which is a big factor and is going to relate back to our story as well. So we're making sure to take everything one step further and show them the real-world applications of these concepts and how it can affect everyone, an entire ecosystem. There is also a scientific glossary within every single case study that they can access at any point in time. So if they need to look up, the definition of abiotic, they can look that up in the glossary. We have a pretty long list here of different scientific terminology that they might not know or might need a reminder for, or if you have any ESL students that might need help with these words as well, we have that glossary in there for them. All right. And we're going to now jump into the next part of the case. So we have seen our introduction, we have learned our background information on nitrogen cycle, and now we're going to jump in and actually apply what we've learned to collect data, form a hypothesis, and help solve the problem. So we're going to need to collect water samples around this river that the baby Jennifer is near. So we're going to take water from multiple points. We're going to take water from a well that's at Jennifer's house. Then we're going to take water samples traveling up the river that is near Jennifer's house as well. So we're going to take samples from different parts of the river. while we are taking water samples, we're going to ask the students to predict what they think they're going to find. So they are constantly being questioned. They're constantly using those critical thinking skills throughout the entire thing. So they're learning and analyzing all at the same time. So here you can see we've come upriver, we've come to a town. We're taking more water samples as we get uptown, and you'll notice that this data at the bottom is changing. You'll notice, now that we've gotten near town, we actually have high nitrite levels as well as high nitrate levels. So we're catching on to something. Our investigation is leading us somewhere here. Now we have the town wastewater. Notice that nitrate levels have decreased, but nitrite levels have stayed the same. So this is all a part of that data analysis and those critical thinking skills that the students are going to be using. All right, so we have collected water all throughout the surrounding area, and now we have noticed that the nitrate levels seem the highest where the wastewater treatment plant is. So we're actually going to enter that treatment plant and assess the situation. And this is what I think is honestly one of the coolest things about this case, is that we get to actually enter this treatment plant and mess with these tanks. So you'll see here we have 3 different tanks with 3 different types of bacteria here. And what we ask the students to do is actually rearrange these tanks. So right now, you can see the output of each tank, and they have to actually rearrange them, put them in the right order to fix the treatment plant so that that water is now pumping out completely treated and will no longer have the high nitrate levels that we were seeing earlier. So they get a chance to also write that hypothesis down. So you as the teacher will of course be able to read their hypothesis and determine if they're really understanding the concept here, or if you need more of them out of that hypothesis, or also if you think that you should address it as a class. Again, that assessment tool is available for you throughout the entire case study. All right, so here's another picture of that, what I was telling you about with rearranging the tank. I've already completed this case study, of course, so that we can jump around, but if I had not completed it, I would be able to actually pick these tanks up and switch them around to put them in the correct order, so that the output of tank 3 will have all 0 levels for ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate, which is perfect and what we want, so we can stop seeing cases of blue baby syndrome. After we rearrange the tanks, we would actually go ahead and recollect all of the samples. So here you can see that data populating in the chart below. We're going to recollect that data and see if our hypothesis and our actions have helped correct the situation. And you can see that town wastewater now has levels of all 0, which is great. Then we're going to take it a little step further, and we are going to travel up river even further. We're going to go up river actually 650 miles upriver. And we see there at about 450 miles upriver, we have we are seeing some high levels of ammonia nitrites and nitrates. So we're going to try to figure out what's going on up there as well. And that's what you're seeing here, these reports. So we have 3 different things going on that are causing these levels. We have a pig farm here that's producing a lot of manure. We also have, if we check the other box, we have a corn farm that's also using a lot of fertilizer as well. And we also have a weather report. There had been a drought, but last week there was a lot of rain. So obviously there's a lot of runoff being experienced in this area, which would explain why you see at this spot up the river those high levels again. So we're showing the students that the research can go even further, that what happens in one area can affect other parts downriver. That everything that we do can have a cause and effect on an entire ecosystem, whether near or far, which is, of course, the whole part of the nitrogen cycle. So we're bringing it sort of full circle here with these students. And then at the very end of the case study, we're going to have them write a case summary, which is organized similar to how a lab report would be. So they're going to have to, of course, summarize the environmental effects. They have to analyze and interpret what they saw, explain the treatment goals to fix the solution, talk about also preventative measures. So this is just another section where they get to practice their scientific writing skills, which we know students do struggle with. So it's another way to help practice those skills and help you as a teacher also assess their true understanding of this concept. Then, if you would like the class to go even further in their research, we do offer that here at the end. We have a couple articles here that you can explore with the class, and we've had some teachers actually use this to have the students build a poster. They would have them work on the case in groups and have them do a poster session afterwards and present their data and go in and look at these articles and take that presentation a step further. It's totally up to you whether you want them to have, this further research or not, but we do provide it just in case you want to take the class a little bit further with this story. So that is about it for that case study. Like I said, I went through it, kind of skipped around because it would take about 60 minutes for us to do the entire thing. But hopefully you do understand the functionality of the case, the framework of the case, and some of the major concepts that we've covered here in it. I'm going to go ahead and jump back here. Does anyone have any questions over what I've covered so far? If so, you can go ahead and type it in that chat bar. Okay. Let's go ahead and jump back into this PowerPoint then. I wanted to show you a couple more things that you might be wondering. As I said previously, these cases are research proven, so we know that they work, we know that students like them, and we know that they help students with those critical thinking and problem solving skills. And then I want to talk about the assessment tool that I mentioned throughout the case study. This is where you would spend your time as a teacher while students are using the case study. So you would be on your tablet or on your computer, and you would be able to monitor this intermittently to see how your students are progressing and which areas they need your assistance. So this tool is real time. So it's a real-time data and critical thinking skill tool. We call it SABLE. And through this, you'll be able to see an answer as soon as a student puts an answer in. So, if you have student 1 putting an answer in for question number 4, you're going to see it pop up there instantly as soon as they hit that submit button. So this way, like I said previously, you'll be able to help repair those misconceptions as soon as they're being formed, which, as you know, as a teacher, can be very powerful to help with those students, because having to wait until a week or so later to fix those misconceptions is going to take a lot longer to really get through those students than if you can help address that issue immediately when it's being formed and sort of when they start memorizing it instantly. So this tool can also be used to help you identify specific skill areas where your entire class or a student may need help. So with this tool, you can go even further. You can't see this on this preview, but you're able to view students' skills by specific areas. So we've divided it up into 6 different skill areas. So if you wanted to, for instance, see how your students' data analysis skills were progressing, you could click on that data analysis skill, and you'll be able to then see all of the questions that relate directly to data analysis skills. And from there, you can determine maybe how you want to adjust your curriculum to address those weak areas for your students. You can also download and print any of the student reports as well, and also give feedback to any of them through comments using this feature as well. So any of these questions that you see here that are not highlighted in blue are the questions that will be automatically graded for you. So you don't even have to worry about them. We do it for you, make it really easy. Those questions that you see that are highlighted in blue, those are the free response questions, such as the hypothesis questions. So those would be ones that you would assess yourself. So you can determine how many points you want to assign for them, how much writing do you expect from your students depending on their level. But it gives you the ability to customize the points for those free response questions depending on your specific class. All right. And then here I just wanted to go ahead and show you the list of all 15 case studies that we have. Like I said, they range as a variety of topics from an advanced 8th grade level all the way up to a college level. So depending on the needs of your students, you can pick the case study that is right for you. We've picked topics that our partner teachers have told us are very critical topics that students tend to struggle with, to make sure that we help you with your students with the most complicated concepts. So you can see there are some big hitters like cell respiration and photosynthesis, evolution, of course, enzymes. A lot of topics here that you hear students struggle with. So there's a lot of variety here in level and content. And then, of course, we do have a few cases like nitrogen cycle that have two different tracks. So you can pick an AP track or an intro track depending on your student level. All right, and that is about it. I just wanted to go ahead and show you some of the background information of what case studies include, the different topics, and then we went ahead and went over the framework for the nitrogen cycle case, and you got to see some of those very cool animations. You got to see some sample questions for there as well, and of course some of the content covered in that case. It's honestly one of my favorite case studies that we have because I love the environmental aspect of it. I think it does a great job of showing students the importance of that and how it affects everyone down from to just one little baby like Jennifer all the way up to an entire town. So I think it's really great for addressing that issue of environmental conservationism, and also does a really great job of showing students the nitrogen cycle in a way that it's easy for them to understand since they're building the cycle while they're learning about it. So I think it's done in a really unique and well prepared way. So I'm going to go ahead and ask if anybody has any questions. We have about 4 minutes left. So if you have any questions, feel free. You can turn your microphone on or you can type it in that little chat bar there. If you have any questions about the framework of the case, the different case topics, implementation questions as well. Okay. Hopefully you don't have any questions because I explained it well. But if you do have any questions, you feel free to email or call me. I'm sure you will be getting an email from your respective sales reps probably in the next couple of days. So you can feel free to follow up with them with any questions you have. We also have a free trial on our website. So if you wanted to go out, check out and try one case, you'll be able to explore one entire case study from the view of a student. So you can see exactly what that's like to play through it for the entire duration. So please feel free to go to our website, cogenteducation.com, and that free trial button is right there on the home page, right there at the top. Start your free trial so you can experience that. We also have preview videos for all 15 case topics. So if you wanted to see just a 2 or 3 minute preview of a case, you can do that as well on our website. So thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you have a good day.